Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Slipstream Entrepreneurs podcast. I am your host, Rich Wharton, and as per usual, joined by the most incredible co-host in the world, the one and only Hannah Brooks. Hannah, good morning.
Morning. Yeah, I've been out in the sun, been for a walk. Oh, honestly, I'm loving today. It's so good to have the sun in the UK. Like, honestly.
I love that energy you're bringing already. The sunshine, the warmth. I actually, in my gratitude, actually said about how grateful I am for the sun and the warmth that it gives you. But honestly, game changer, walking in the sunshine, and that kind of brings us nicely onto our special guest today. Because honestly, this guy, one, gratitude is a massive part of his life. Two, he's in the sunshine 24/7 at the moment, which is absolutely epic. And I won't steal his thunder, but honestly, by the end of this episode, that to our listeners, guys, you will discover the reason why you are struggling to secure sponsorship deals. So that gives me great pleasure to welcome the one and the only Mr. Callum Webber. Callum.
Here we are. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful to be on here on your podcast to share my wisdom of what I've been learning over the last 7 years. That, unfortunately, the school systems they don't want us to know about this type of stuff. So what I'm going to be sharing today is going to really help you when it comes to securing a life-changing sponsorship deal in your career. So I'm really excited to get into this. But yeah, I just want to say how grateful I am, guys. Obviously, met Rich back in January. To give a bit of context to your listeners of how this all happened, I'm the Freedom Lifestyle CEO and founder, and I run my own podcast as well. And I actually, Rich went actually on my sales blueprint program, and from doing that, he had all the industry knowledge when it comes to the motorsports industry. He had the mindset. He had all of that. But the only thing he didn't have the sales skills back then. So he went through my program. Fast forward 2 months, he went and landed $100,000 sponsorship deal. So we're going to be talking all things sponsorships, how to land sponsorships today. So yeah, just want to say very grateful, Rich and Hannah, for you guys being here. And everyone listens to this, make sure you subscribe to their podcast, because what they're bringing to you is absolutely amazing, and it's so needed.
Oh, mate, thank you so much. Thank you. And it's an absolute honor to have you on, because you have changed my life. And I've said this to you many times, but you have genuinely changed my life in the skills that you've given me. And I'm a big believer in investing in yourself, investing in your knowledge. I did that in investing in you, and it was the best decision I ever made. Honestly, it changed the game. And as we know, Callum, I've not only invested in you once, but I've then gone bigger and better. And everything you're bringing out, I'm just diving in 100%, because it has changed the game massively for me. I kid you not. And just we obviously talked a little bit about sunshine as well, Callum. Tell the listeners exactly where you are at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently I'm a digital nomad, so I actually with my partner, and we've both been living out in Turkey for 2 months. But it's actually getting a bit, and I'm very grateful for the sun, but it's getting a bit too much now. It's like 40 degrees. But we're going to be moving to Spain, Alicante, on the weekend. So yeah, very blessed and very grateful. But look, like, it hasn't always been like that. Like, I want to just to give a bit of context to your listeners, to get to know me a bit more in my journey. Like, it hasn't always been like this. You might listen to me right now thinking, oh, he sounds confident. He's living abroad, all this type of stuff. But I've gone through so much, and I want to share with you guys. If you're sat here listening to this, feeling a bit lost, feeling a bit like I can't land a sponsorship deal, like, I've been there. I understand how it feels when you're not getting your own way in life. But I want to rewind you back to when I was at school. I can always remember being at school, and I actually didn't have any confidence growing up throughout school whatsoever. I used to be quite anxious. I had a lot of things going on, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do, because I was always quite smart at school, but I don't know if your listeners listen to this right now. I don't know if you resonate with this, but I used to just sit in school and I used to be like, what is the point of this? What is the point of all of this? And obviously, I know a lot of motorsports drivers and a lot of sports athletes in general. You get very lucky because you spend a lot of time out of school, because you're doing races and you're going to competitions and you're doing lots of traveling. So you get to dodge a lot of the a lot of the school. And it got to the end of school and I was like, what do I do? Do I go to university or do I get a apprenticeship at Lloyds Bank? And I made a decision to go to university to study business management. And the reason being was I always had a bit of a fascination about business. And not only that, I just wanted to prolong like going into the quote unquote real world. I really didn't want to get a 9 to 5. I wasn't about the whole CV life. So I actually moved down to Plymouth University to study business. And fast forward 3 years, and this is why I've ended up going down this journey, because fast forward 3 years at university, I got myself in 50 grand worth of debt. Yet I was learning business from an employee and I literally didn't learn one thing and it just didn't make sense to me. And I can remember looking back and being in that lecture, looking around the lecture room. I was looking at some old man that was an employee. I was looking at a whole disengaged lecture room of people that just didn't want to be there. And I was like, people are paying a lot of money. There's hundreds and thousands of pounds in that room that's invested to be here. No one wants to be here. And what we were learning was just irrelevant in the actual business world. We were learning how to be an employee, not how to be a business owner, not how to be an entrepreneur, not how to be a seller. And you might be sat here thinking, how does this relate to me as a racing driver? But everything it relates to you. The reason being is because you as a racing driver or you as an athlete, you are a business. You are a business. If you look at the greats in any sports industry, they're just business owners. They're entrepreneurs. They know how to market. They know how to build a personal brand. They know how to sell themselves. They've got the right mindset to become that top 1%. They've got the right mindset and the skills to land these sponsorship deals, because not everybody's in a position to have the money to be able to invest into, £100,000 deals when it comes to athletes. So that's why sponsorships is such an important thing in the sports industry. And it's actually quite mad for me, like looking back now, going into this world now of helping people like Rich and, going on to, help all different industries when it comes to mastering how to sell. Because the mad thing is, I shared the fact that I went to university to study business and I didn't learn anything. But funnily enough, at 19 years old, I ended up getting, I was 18, I got an opportunity to go on to a TV show called Ibiza Weekender. And I actually went onto the show. They paid for all my flights. And I was out in Ibiza and there was lots of reps on there if you've ever watched it. And I got interviewed by ITV and they said to me, they were like, could you ever see yourself being an events rep in like Mallorca or Ibiza or Zante? And I actually said no. 9 months after being on that show, I finished my first year at uni and I booked a one-way flight out to Mallorca. And this is where my life completely changed. I went out to Mallorca, went out to Magaluf, never been there before. Didn't know what I was going to do for work, but I committed first and figured the rest out later. And I ended up landing a role as an events rep. And this was 19 years old. It was my first experience of being an entrepreneur on a commission-only basis, where I had to go out there and I had to make my own money. I didn't get paid per hour. It was commission only. And it's the exact same when it comes to you being wanting to land a sponsorship deal. You don't get paid per hour as a sponsorship deal. You don't, sign up and have an interview to try and get a job. What you got to do is you need to close that deal. You need to negotiate. You need to find the right sponsorships. You need to have the right mindset. You need to build the right personal brand. So when you are speaking to these ones that could be a sponsor for you, they're going to be like, wow, this is going to be a no-brainer. This is going to be worth my investment. So to flip it all back, essentially, the skill I learned in Mallorca at 19 years old, learning how to sell, has now transformed my life over the last 7 years. I've gone from having no confidence whatsoever. I used to be scared to literally speak to groups. So now I'm interviewing 6, 7, 8, even 9-figure entrepreneurs on my Freedom Lifestyle podcast. I've made over 1.5 million in sales revenue for the largest solar company in the UK. I'm now helping people like Rich and other business owners completely transform their life from learning this one skill. And that skill is learning how to sell. So we're really going to get into the sales questions, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a high-level overview because my journey's been crazy. I could talk about my journey for about 3 hours. However, I want to keep it short and sweet, and let's get into this, Rich and Hannah. Let's do it.
It's incredible. Simply incredible. I love the fact that, the passion, and I think that's going to lead us to that first question for you, for Callum. Sorry. Is all about that energy. Like, how important is that energy for you in sales?
Yeah. Energy's everything. everything's energy. Everything. Like, especially in like if you're an athlete, if you're a sportsman, if you're a driver and you want to be in the F1, like, it's energy. Like, you know, you're taking part in a sport which is a thrill, right? You're going to get that adrenaline. It's an energy about it. And if you look at the top drivers in the world, like, they've got a different energy about them. They've got a different presence about them. They know that they are the shit at what they do. They have this high level of confidence when it comes to what they're a specialist at. And when you have this high level of confidence and you have this high level of energy and you're so passionate about what you do, you're then going to be able to translate that energy over to the sponsors. Because if you speak to a sponsor, even if you're someone that's new to the game, but they can literally see in your eyes and they can hear in your voice how passionate about this you are, how you're able to communicate that passion with them, they're going to be like, do you know what? I want to give this kid a chance. I want to give you a chance because I can see that you've got great potential. Because when it comes to sponsors, they want people that go far in sports. If you look at all the sports industries in the world, you look at motorsports, whenever there's races, they always do interviews, don't they? They always do interviews on TV, right? People that are doing interviews on TV, they need to have that bit about them. They need to have that energy. They need to have that confidence. Otherwise, they're going to be too scared to be interviewed. They're going to be too scared, to talk on social media. They're going to be too scared to talk on podcasts like this. And that's why it's so important to get yourself on podcasts like this, to get yourself having interviews so that you can build your personal brand. But not only that, you're also going to build your confidence and you're going to build your energy. So when it comes to speaking to sponsors, they're going to be like, wow, you're getting on podcasts. I've listened to your podcast. You've got amazing passion. You've got amazing energy. You're an amazing driver. You've got some amazing content of you doing driving. You've got an amazing network. You've got amazing communication and sales skills. I'm willing to invest 100 grand in you because I believe in you. I believe in your energy and I believe in your conviction. I believe in your personal brand. And that is the reason why, Rich, to answer your question, energy is everything.
I was literally just thinking, like, everything you just said, I think when I tell people about personal brand and how important it is for racing drivers, energy and confidence, like, go out there, portray yourself strongly and confidently. Because a brand wants you to be able to represent their brand confidently. They don't want someone who's going to be a bit in, a bit out. They want someone who's going to be fully there to represent their brand, trackside, social media, wherever, really confidently. So, I mean, yeah, it's spot on, really, isn't it?
Yeah, love that. It's everything. Like, at the end of the day, if someone's going to invest like 100 grand into you, or even 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand more, like, all they're thinking about is all they're going to think in their head logically. A lot of these people that are sponsors, they've got money. They have got money. They're not going to be looking to invest 100 grand into someone if they haven't got money. So it's like, what do they want? They want more attention. They want more brand. They want to get their brand out there. They want someone to confidently represent their brand. Right? So you need to, as a racing driver, as an athlete, as a sportsman, you need to represent yourself as someone that is going to make them money, that's going to represent their brand good, that's going to be confident, that's going to be showing up, that's going to be putting all their energy into this, and is not someone that is only doing this just for. They don't want someone that's just doing it for money. They want someone that's genuinely so passionate about whatever athlete you are, whether you're a racing driver, whether you're another athlete. They want you to be so confident and passionate about it, so you're going to get that message across, which is then going to help them when it comes to promoting their brand.
Love that, Callum. Honestly, it's just so much value already. Like, this is just, we're 14 minutes into this podcast episode, and I've got more value here than I have done in a long time. This is just unbelievable. So thank you so much. I'm honestly so grateful for you coming on and sharing with us your wisdom, your knowledge, and the skills that you have learned. It's simply incredible. But talking specifically about sales, because like you said, sales isn't taught at school. This is something that racing drivers, especially like young racing drivers, we're talking 14 up to 20, have never been exposed to sales before. It's something brand new, and there's a lot of people out there who have a mentality of of what sales is already. But you've explained briefly what sales has done for you, but how fundamental is learning how to set, like, we do it everyday life. Explain a little bit more about what other things that we sell rather than just in business.
Yeah. Obviously, a few points you shared there. So number one, I just want to share with you that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Like what Rich said, sales wasn't taught at school. Like, for instance, I went and studied business, right, at university, 50 grand worth of debt. Yet sales was literally brushed over. It wasn't mentioned about. But if you look at the statistics, one of the number one reasons why businesses fail is due to a lack of sales. The number one reason why people aren't getting sponsorships is because they don't know how to sell. They don't know how to close these sponsorships. So then they end up not having the money, and they don't have enough money. So they got to give up. They got to give up their dreams. And then they got to go and get a 9 to 5. And it's like, how can you go from being like a racing driver, or how can you go from, living your dream, living your life, but then because you haven't got the skill of sales, a fundamental skill that you need to have, because you haven't got that and you haven't been introduced to that, and because sales wasn't mentioned throughout school. And not only that, sales also has quite a bad stigma and connotation in the world. The amount of people, I've even met sellers that think that selling's sleazy. And I'm like, wow, if you're a seller and you think it's sleazy, like, let me ask you a question. Do you think that's going to be showing up when it comes to when you're selling? Because without selling, there would be no business. There would be no world. Like, everything's a sell. Every transaction you make is a sell. Every time you meet someone is a sell. To get the partner of your dreams is a sell. To get in the best shape of your life is a sell. Everything is a sell. You've got to sell yourself. You've also got to transmit that energy and that confidence about you as an individual, especially when it comes to the business world and when it comes to landing sponsorship deals. So look, it's not your fault. Sales wasn't mentioned, but my question to you is, why wasn't sales mentioned? It's like, you listening to this right now, have a little think, like, why wasn't sales mentioned? Why isn't that skill mentioned? At school we learned about algebra, and I read the Mice and Men book, and it was just a load of it was absolute pointless. Whereas the life skills, when it comes to how to handle money, how to handle your emotions, how to communicate, how to be a leader, how to sell, these areas are not focused at all at school. And why is that? My belief from my model of the world is they don't want us to know that. The reason being, because if everyone knew how to sell, there wouldn't be many employees about. Because when you learn how to sell, you realize, okay, I can be a business owner. Or if I'm not a business owner, I can be a high ticket sales rep. Or if I'm not a high ticket sales rep, I've got the sales skills now to land 100 grand sponsorship deal so I can live my dream and be a Formula One driver, or whatever your freedom lifestyle is to you, whatever your dream is. But the fundamental skill you need to have is how to sell, how to communicate. So to answer your question, Rich, like, it is an absolute fundamental skill to learn, because there's a quote I live by. If you're listening to this in the car, then obviously don't write. But if you've got a notebook, I'd strongly recommend writing this down. And if you are listening to this in the car, congratulations for utilizing your time. But I'd also strongly recommend to rewatch this podcast episode and actually take notes on it. But there's a quote I live by, and it's, watch what everyone else does and do the opposite. So if you look at the majority of the world don't know how to sell. Because number one, wasn't taught at school. Number two, has a really bad stigma and connotations. You look at films and TV shows, and the wealthy and the ones that are sellers usually are like the ones that are evil, the ones that are like backstabbers, manipulative, all that type of stuff. And yes, that is true. That can happen, of course. But that's the case in every industry. It's called law of polarity. You can't have the good without the bad. Every single industry, every single skill out there, there's going to be people using that skill for bad, but there's also going to be a lot of people using these skills for good. So what you're going to learn when it comes to selling, you could use that in a bad way, but I want you to make this your line in the sand moment, and to make a moral obligation to yourself that the skills that you're going to learn from being involved with myself, Rich, and Hannah, you're going to use these skills for the greater good. You're going to use these skills to build generational wealth for your family. You're going to use these skills to land high ticket sponsorship deals so you can live your dream and carry on racing, so you don't have to go back to a 9 to 5, where you don't have to fail. Because I guarantee a lot of you listening to this are probably scared of failing, especially because a lot of your family would have put a lot of money and a lot of time and energy probably into this career for you. So we're here to help you land that sponsorship so that you don't have to fail, so that you don't have to go back to a normal reality, so we can get you racing with the big timers in the Formula One. Let's do it.
I love that. Like, why not? Let's just push for the moon and the stars, because why shouldn't we? I think it's in every racing driver's grasp to achieve going to Formula One. And I've said that to numerous drivers. What do you want to do? Okay, let's work out how you're going to get there. Like, firstly, mindset. Like, let's look at your mindset. What are you thinking? What is your view of how you're going to get there? Because if it's going to be a struggle, well, it's going to be a struggle for you. If you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to get there and it's going to be easy because I'm going to do anything I need to do, well, then that's going to happen. Like, that is just what happens. And that's like the first thing I say to people when I speak to them. And it's not always like, some people aren't open to that, right? But I'm really excited to be sat with you two because I feel like you're both huge on mindset. Like, Rich introduced me to The Secret, which has just absolutely changed my life. So, and obviously, Callum, since meeting you, I mean, honestly, you're infectious, and in a good way, obviously.
Yeah. Good energy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Everything's energy.
I mean, like, for you, like, how have you always been this positive? Have you always been like this, strength of a beacon of light almost?
Yeah, no, good question. To answer your question, no, I haven't. For like my first 23 years of my life, I like I said, I didn't have any confidence growing up throughout school. I used to overthink a lot. I used to struggle. Like I never won the morning. I was never in good energy. Obviously, I'd done 3 seasons in Magaluf, which I loved, had an amazing time. And whilst I was at university, so I spent 3 years of my life pretty much drinking alcohol most days of the week. I was going to bed about 4, 5, 6 in the morning most nights. Even when I was sober, I literally was going to bed at that time because I was in such a crazy lifestyle of partying for 3 years straight while I was at uni and as an events rep in MAGA. So my lifestyle was crazy. So I was quite negative and the reason why I was so negative was because I was in a low energy all the time, because I drank alcohol all the time, because I didn't sleep, because I wasn't eating healthy, because I wasn't investing into myself. I was just living a crazy lifestyle, which was so fun. But if I carried on living that lifestyle, I probably wouldn't even be here today. Like I'd be fucked. I'd literally be absolute. Excuse my language. I don't know what age your listeners are, but I wouldn't have made it. I really wouldn't if I carried on. So I've gone down a completely different route. And when it all happened for me, when my life changed, was during lockdown, and it was a very humbling experience for me. So obviously, I went to university. I finished university back in 2019, and I went back out to Mallorca, had an amazing summer. I thought, I ain't getting a grad job. I'm not about that life. So I went back out to Mallorca, lived there for quite a few months. And then I saved up some money, and I went traveling. I went to Thailand. I went to India. I went to ski festivals, Amsterdam. I was 21 years old thinking, wow, I'm living a wicked life here. And it all come crashing down. I flew back from Thailand, end of February 2020. I was about to drive out to Mallorca for my 4th summer. 2 weeks later, I was back at my nan's house. I had no money, and I couldn't go to Mallorca. It was a national lockdown. I was stuck back at my nan's house, and I was in such a negative energy. I was like, oh, woe is me, poor me. I started getting a bit depressed. I needed to get a job. I didn't know what to do. There wasn't many jobs going about during national lockdown. And that ended up leading me on to getting a job working at Amazon. And I was packing boxes from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. I literally only seen darkness, and it was the summer. And I was just like, what am I doing? I've gone from being at university, traveling around the world, working in Mallorca, to now I'm packing boxes. I literally felt like a robot, and I just felt so lost. And I was like, what am I doing? And I was in a really negative energy. And I actually then booked, I literally quit after 8 weeks. I booked a one-way flight to Bali. And then guess what? That got cancelled as well because of lockdown, because of national lockdown. I lost my head. I thought, I'm going to be stuck here. But then I made a decision. I went, I need to stop being woe is me. I need to take responsibility and I need to turn this negative into a positive. So I made my first investment. It was a Grant Cardone program. It was like £3,000. It was quite an uncomfortable decision, but I just knew I needed to invest into myself. I knew that this would be, I knew I had to do it. So I just found a way and made it happen. And I got back into high ticket sales. And then 4 years later, I've gone on to invest over £50,000 into mentors and coaches myself. You know, I've got a full-time online freedom lifestyle business where I'm helping entrepreneurs create freedom. I've got my freedom lifestyle podcast. Like the journey that I've been on over the last 4 years, from going from someone that was very negative and a low energy to someone that was a serial investor into my own personal development. I started prioritizing winning the morning every single day. And that was the moment for me 4 years ago that took me from a seller I went from being a seller into someone that was a CEO, into an entrepreneur thinker, and that prioritized my number one priority. And if you're a racing driver, your number one priority, energy. And when I realized that, I had an epiphany. I was like, wow, I can't believe I went 23 years in my life where I never won the morning. Looking back at school, I used to wake up for school. I didn't want to go to school. I'd sit there and eat a bacon sandwich every day. And I'd go to Morrison's. I'd buy a 5-pack of cookies, a pack of Doritos, and I'd go to school. And did no exercise, no gratitude, wasn't hydrated, didn't have cold showers, didn't do any morning routine. No wonder I was never in a good energy. So yeah, like to answer your question, I wasn't always like I am now. However, when you make a decision to change your life and you take full responsibility and you stop blaming others, you stop blaming the government, you stop blaming the fact that it's impossible to get sponsorship deals. When you stop blaming and you take responsibility for yourself, that's when your life will change.
I mean, I've been on a bit of a journey, and I just met Rich in January. And since January, honestly, Look what's happened. It has just exploded. But I genuinely believe the company you keep has such an impact on your energy. Like, the network you have supporting you impacts you and your energy. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I've cut people out. That's a really harsh term, but I've definitely sought out people that I align myself better with. So, like Rich, as soon as I kind of reached out and we had, probably even after 5 minutes of talking to him, I was like, this guy and me are going to go far. Like, there was just no question. There was no question about it. And we just clicked. And since that, my life has genuinely changed. Like, honestly, and he obviously just started your course. And it was just like, honestly, it was just the impact that you, Callum, have had just on us two. And that's like degrees of separation as well. So it's just it's crazy, honestly.
I know, and I haven't even met you guys in person yet, you know? And this is the mad thing. And like, in regard to what you said about obviously energy, like people are either energy vampires, they suck your energy. You know, when you walk in a room and your energy just instantly drops because you can feel a weird energy. Whereas when you walk into a room like us three, when we will meet, the energy is just going to be so high. It's going to be such a high frequency. And when you operate on that high frequency, you step into a different person. You become a light. You're a giver. You're not a taker. And that alone, especially when it comes to landing a high ticket sponsorship deal, you need to be someone that's a light giver, that's a giver, that's good energy, because they're not going to invest into you if you're someone that's not grateful, if you're someone that's negative, if you're someone that's always focusing on the bad things. They want to be around people that are optimistic, that are positive, that are good energy, that, make a good impression. So, all these things are so, so important. And we could make so many podcast episodes together to help them land a high ticket sponsorship deal. And, what we've got coming up as well, guys, is going to completely change the game for these drivers. And I cannot wait. I literally cannot wait to go on this journey with you guys and see so. You mentioned that I've impacted your guys' life. Think of the impact that we're going to have on this industry between the three of us.
Honestly, it's going to be an absolute game changer. And before we mention that specifically, I just want to say, because just a couple of things I've picked up on from you there, Callum. Firstly, there's a saying that I love from Les Brown, and he says, be a thermostat, not a thermometer.
Yeah.
So obviously a thermostat sets a temperature, a thermometer reacts to a temperature. And you said exactly about going to that room, about bringing the energy. It was like, don't go and react to the energy in the room that's there already. Go into the room and bring your energy and make sure other people change to meet your energy. And like Hannah said, I called it growing out of people. So there's a lot of friends that I lost when I went on my personal development journey. And you say you lost friends. Actually, I just grew out of them. I upgraded as such, and there's no disrespect to the people who are my friends or were my friends, etc. That's just, I've just chosen to have a higher level. And one of the biggest things with that was that investment in myself. Is that the people who invest in themselves, they meet other people who are also investing in themselves. And the people I have met simply on obviously your sales blueprint, Callum, and the people in the freedom lifestyle community, yourself has allowed me to, grow and then have a business between the three of us and helping people, racing right, which is going to be crazy. Meeting people like Hannah, for example. But those people who invest in themselves, they're the people you want to get to know. They're the go-getters. They're the people who are winning in life. And actually, sometimes it takes that investment to level up massively and meet that right people. Do you think CEOs and entrepreneurs around the world, the people who are absolutely smashing life, do you think they invest in themselves regularly?
Of course they do. Of course they do. Like, whatever you want to create in reality, like for instance, for me, like I already know the levels that I'm going to get to. Like this is actually quite scary. What's going to come, and this isn't in a cocky way. This is just in a confident way, and not just in a confident way, but because I've done so much personal development and work, I understand how to get there. I get the game. It's just the game. It's the game of life. It's the game of business. And in order for you to get to that next level, you just need to act like you're already at that level, and you need to get around people that are at that level. So for instance, for me, I'm currently working with Lewis, my mentor at the moment, who built a $25 million company in 4 years. Like, I literally have access to it. I speak to him daily. I'm in a mastermind with him. I have one-to-one calls with him. He's built what he's built. So I'm going to get around him more. I'm going to be around him, understand how his brain works, understand how he's got there. So if you're listening to this and you want to land $100,000 sponsorship deal, you are literally listening to someone who has done that. You are also listening to someone that has actually trained, that's also helped, been a big part of that by training Rich how to sell to land that sponsorship deal. So you guys listening to this right now, you are in the right place. And it's actually mad. Like, if I'm to rewind back, I was actually living at Champneys Tring in January 2024 when we had our first call together, Rich. And we just connected so well. Obviously, we connected about The Secret because I was reading The Secret at that time as well. We really connected about that. Strongly recommend everyone going to listen to Secret. It's an incredible book, incredible. And we connected in January. And if you were to tell me when we met that we'd end up be going into business together, I wouldn't have called that. I would not have called that. But look, here we are. And that just shows how by just you're one handshake away from a new business partner. You're one handshake away through a new best friend. You're one handshake away from $100,000 sponsorship deal. You're one handshake away to getting on a podcast. You're just one handshake away. You just need to learn how to network. You need to learn how to build your personal brand. And most importantly, you need to learn how to sell.
I mean, you've just let on, obviously we've started a business together. So is it time, guys? Is it time? Who wants to do the honour? Go on, guys. Let's
drop the bomb.
Let's
I think we need to spill the beans, guys. I really do, because I know that we are going to genuinely impact thousands of lives together. Like I really value my time. I'm building my own business. For me, going into business with you guys, like, it could be deemed as a risk. However, I am so confident in you two, and I'm so confident in us as a free, being the missing piece for all these drivers, all these athletes out there that are struggling to land sponsorship deals. So I'm so excited to announce that the three of us are going to be helping you. And the way we're actually going to be doing that is we have, oh, bloody hell, I couldn't get my words out then. We have created a completely free training to help you land a life-changing, career-changing sponsorship deal. Okay, your sponsorship deal, a high ticket sponsorship deal that I know that you truly want to have. And how do you do that? You focus on 3 areas. You focus on mindset, your personal branding, and sales. And between the three of us, we put loads of hard work behind the scenes to make sure that we have constructed the perfect training for you to have that career changing moment. So all you need to do, in the description, there is a link which you can join our the free training. And I'm very, very confident you're going to get to that end of that free training and your mind is going to be blown. You're going to be hearing things that you've never heard before. And I'm just so excited to go on this journey with you guys as well. So I don't know if you guys got anything to share to your community, but I'm just gassed. I'm gassed for this.
It's needed. Like, people need this training. They need to come along. They need to listen to what we've got to say, because we've discussed it in various different ways with our guests on here. And basically, all of those needs, and all the drivers as well that have come to us and said, look, we are struggling to get sponsorship. Well, I'll tell you what, okay, we're hearing you. We can't do one-to-one with you every day, but we're going to help you. So this is what that training is going to do. So get on that training, be there with us, listen to what we've got to say, and we will help you. We want to help you to do better, to be the best version of you. And that is, I can't wait. Just can't wait.
Honestly,
Love it.
Sensational. Literally in this free training, obviously I will talk about step by step how I secured a 100k sponsorship deal for my driver, and obviously the advice that I've been given all along to racing drivers. Hannah's going to talk about personal branding, which is absolutely smashed. Honestly, I've never known someone who has been so good at personal branding. And then Callum, 1.5 million pounds worth of sales. And that is just growing day by day by day by day. That was just in one industry. That's not including everything else he's done and who he's helped as well and how much they've sold as well. But, between the three of us, this
Dream team
3-day course, oh my gosh, this free training is going to be sensational. It is a no-brainer. So make sure you click that link, because honestly, that is going to change the game from you. But Callum, I feel like the energy, I have got so much energy right now. We can go on for ages with this, but I am conscious of time. One question we always asked our listeners, and thank you so much for everyone who is listening to this podcast episode, because it is an absolute game changer. But the final question that we always finish on: if you could spend an hour with someone, whether they're alive or dead right now, who would it be and why?
Yeah, good question. Good question. That's a hard question, that is. Hard question. Alive? If I could spend 1 hour with someone.
Mm.
Alive or dead?
Yeah. So it could be anyone. They could already be dead, could still be alive. Whoever it is, there's anyone in the world that you could spend an hour with.
It's hard. It's just who to. You've got me here, guys. You've got me here. I can normally talk for England, but this is I'm just thinking of like the greats. Nikola Tesla.
Why?
Ooh.
Energy's everything, and he was the one that literally. He was the one that was he lit up a whole. I don't know if you know this, but he lit up a whole city for free with energy. I just think he was an absolute genius. So I would have loved to get into his brains to learn more about energy, because we are all just energy beings. That's all we are. If you think about it, like the highest percentage of our body is actually water. And if you look at water, all water is energy. Like, we are energy. And when you're in good energy, like, just good things keep happening. When you're in good energy, you don't really get ill. When you're in good energy, like you start attracting the right people. When you're in good energy, you start closing more deals. When you're in good energy, you're going to be winning more racing. Not only are you going to learn by learning how to sell and the mindset, not only, this is the thing, right? We haven't even touched on this. Not only are they going to learn how to land sponsorship deals, but they're actually, I can guarantee them, it sounds weird, but I guarantee them they're going to start showing up better in their races as well. I can guarantee it. If I spoke to them for an hour, I'd get them winning races, because it's not even just about landing sponsorship deals. Your mindset and sales is so important when it comes to the day in that racing car. As an athlete on that day, whether you're a footballer, whether you're a racing driver, whatever sport industry that you're in, your mind is critical to the game. If you go into that race and you're scared that you're going to lose. Like what Hannah said earlier. So it's working on that internal world, working on your internal battle, your internal dialogue, getting yourself in that right energy. And when you crack energy, life just gets so much easier. So to answer your question, that was a really hard one. I had quite a few people come up, but Nicholas Tesla, and you've probably not had that one before.
Love that.
No.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to go down the Grant Cardone route. Because obviously being a mentor.
I did think of him, but I'm gonna meet him anyway. Like I'm gonna interview him on my podcast. Like I'm gonna end up being very connected with him. You don't know it yet, but it's already happened. But yeah, I just thought I'd go for someone that wasn't here now. I thought it'd be a bit more interesting. But yeah, Nicholas Tesla, what a random one. But there we are.
That's incredible.
Callum,
I've absolutely loved this episode. It has been absolutely phenomenal. I cannot wait for the incredible value that we are going to bring as a 3 to so many lives. It is going to be absolutely sensational. And this all starts from this podcast here. And I am actually so grateful that you took your time, obviously in Turkey in the middle of the day and it's super hot. I'm so grateful you've taken the time out of your day to spend with us and help our listeners. So thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. And just to say, everyone that does join the free training, I'll be personally connecting with all of you, every single one of you. So get yourself in there. It's in the description. I'm excited to connect with all of you and help you become that top % driver and help you land that high ticket sponsorship. As always, I've been very, very blessed to be here right now to share my wisdom. Very grateful for you, Rich. Very grateful for you, Hannah. And let's impact some lives together.
Let's get it. Thank you so much, Hannah, as well. You are absolutely sensational. Callum, thank you so much. Thank you to all our listeners. Let's get it. Let's go.
Adios.